I don't think many surprised that Spurs in the end rolled over and Liverpool win 5-1. Spurs, of course, concentrating on the Europa League this week. Confirmation there that Liverpool are 15 points clear of Arsenal with 4 matches remaining in the Premier League. Oh, not only does Nedum get to fly from Seville to Wembley, now he gets to talk about Liverpool taking the title from Manchester City. We'll hear from Nedum in a moment, but Stevie, we've got to start with you.
Well, it's back where it belongs. That's how I feel. That's how I was brought up to expect it. That was the only thing that mattered, was winning the title. And when you did it, you enjoyed it. But then the next day, you move on. Because you've got to do it all over again.
Well, not
and the classic
not for a while. You've got 4 games, you can just do what you want.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're going to see as well. Because it's very difficult when you've got 4 games with nothing on the line.
Yeah.
So you'll see a lot of changes. You probably certainly won't see too many victories, but that doesn't matter. That's not what counts. What counts is what they've done from the start of the season to now to win the title, and thoroughly deserved it.
You're trying to pretend that you only had one night celebrating, Stevie. It's something I do not believe for us.
One each.
Ah, dear.
One each.
It's interesting, you used the word embarrassing almost, that Liverpool won this so easily, Kieran.
Well, I mean, for the rest of the Premier League, yeah. I mean, with 4 games to go, you feel that the standards are so high now, you don't expect a team with all of the quality in the clubs throughout the league, you just don't expect a team to win it that early. Obviously, City are coming off the back of a treble and 4 Premier Leagues in a row. At some point, they're going to dip. But, you know, for the other teams, I think even Arsenal, I have to say, for all of their mishaps throughout the season, the injuries, the suspensions, and all of the excuses, we want more from the other clubs to challenge. We want to see these games go into the final game. That's what the Premier League's all about. So credit to Liverpool, though. I can't take anything away, because what Arne Slot's done to come in his first season, it's remarkable.
Yeah, very much unexpected. I think it's fair, Kasey, isn't it? Like when we were talking about who was going to win the Premier League at the start of the season, we agreed that maybe City would slip off a little bit, but it was all about Arsenal.
Right.
And they obviously didn't step up to the plate,
I think,
but Liverpool very much did.
And I think because of that, because you have a new manager coming into Liverpool, I think everybody expected that it was going to take some time for him to figure out the players he has, bring in some players that move things around. And it looked like he'd been there for 4 or 5 years, how smooth that transition was. And, to Kieran's point, there was nobody else who could put the consistency to challenge him. I think it was almost like that core behind them was all very similar. They kept beating each other, which then just kept giving Liverpool more and more gap to win the title. And that's why it was so comfortable. And I was teasing Stevie earlier that now puts them 1 more Premier League title ahead of Leicester. So they've kind of got that little.
There we go.
They've got that little gap now. So, but yes, Liverpool class of the Premier League this year by far.
Nedum, do you agree with Stevie? Back where it belongs?
Yeah, I couldn't disagree more, to be honest. But. Yeah, I like what he went for, and I think that's the identity of the football club, and I think the fans, the players, and everyone that goes there, they have that belief that they should be contending for those titles and winning them. But I think you do need to give them credit this season because of how consistent they have been. I think, as you mentioned, could you really say City are going to win it another year? Probably not. So then you look at Arsenal, the side that felt like they were sort of getting better and better season in, season out. Well, there were times when Liverpool were going on a run here, and you're almost saying, well, Arsenal, this is your moment. And in the key moments, they kind of fell away. And for Liverpool, they're very deserving of being Premier League champions this year. You look at some of the key players for them this season. You look at that Van Dijk, looking at Salah's. These are people who won the league 5 years ago. So these are people who experience and understanding what's required to give yourself a chance to win it and do what they need to do. And I think there's been a time where, in terms of general conversation, some people say that Liverpool have only won it because it's been a down season in the Premier League. See, I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think 2 things can be true. And I think Liverpool have been so consistent this year that across any year they'd always be contending for a title. But I think for the way the Premier League has been this year with some of the bigger sides not performing to their best, that's another conversation itself. And that means that Liverpool stand out even more in my mind because they didn't get caught up in any of the dramas that have existed elsewhere. They've been fantastic. And as you say, seeing the new deals for Van Dijk, new deals for Salah, seeing that feeling, and I think for Arne Slot as well. I think I was speaking to somebody today from the Anfield Wrap, and she was saying the most important person this year is Arne Slot, because in reality, for as good as we've seen Liverpool be across these last few years, in reality, he's still only the second Liverpool manager to lift a Premier League title. And when you think about the fact he was coming in to replace Jurgen Klopp, what I love is the fact that he didn't arrive with ego to think that he needed to destroy something to build it back again. He saw the strengths of his side, he sensed some of the weaknesses, and he tried to build upon that. Liverpool was not a broken football club when he came in, but he made sure that they were ready to go in and to succeed. And I think the talk was, with Liverpool TV at the start of the season, somebody asked him, like, how many points did he get last year? What's his hope for the season? He said, I'm going to try and get more than we got last year. And he certainly achieved that already with 4 games to go. And if they win the games that left, 94 points. It's another iconic Premier League season. Credit to them. I'm sure they're going to enjoy it. And the talk is there's going to be 2 million Liverpool fans when the bus parade happens in a few weeks' time. So more power to them, because they've essentially done the stuff that many people within England dream of.
Talk to me about Arne Slot, Stevie.
Difficult to add to what Nedum said, to be honest, because he's got everything spot on, as has Arne Slot. You know, when it looked like things weren't quite right, he made decisions, he made changes that righted the ship. When things weren't going well during games, tactically, he righted the ship. He picked the right teams at the right time for certain games. He got that right. He has gotten every single thing right. But I just doubled down on what Nedum said. What he got right most of all was not coming in to Liverpool and trying to blow away all the stuff that had happened under Klopp and try and be his own man.
From the outside looking in, and someone obviously has never coached, that seems like the sensible thing to do.
Yeah, but to be a top Premier League manager, generally you got to have some ego.
Right.
You know, you really need to have an ego, and the best ones don't let their ego get in the way of what needs to be done. What is the right thing to do? Never mind my ego. What's the right thing to do? And the right thing that Arne Slot did was, yes, he took that rock and roll football, but he just tempered it a little bit so that it wasn't from minute 1 to minute 90 every single time they got on the field. They used it in times during the game to take advantage over the opposition. And then they slowed it down and played the football. And he managed to get a group of players, a squad, not just a couple, because you need everybody, to understand the timing of when you play your rock and roll stuff, and then when you take the air out the game, and then when you pass it around, and then when you switch it back on again. So he managed to get a whole squad of players on the same thought process for the whole season, and that's why they won the Premier League.
Congratulations to Liverpool Football Club, champions of England for the 20th time. They've beaten Tottenham Hotspur by 5-1, and for the 5th time this season have come from behind in the Premier League to get all 3 points. Looking back on a well-deserved title challenge, Shaka, Hislop and Mark Ogden alongside me. And when the opening goal went in, Shaka, we had a laugh on Friday saying it would be the most Spursy of Spurs things to go to Anfield and win. Was there any moment when they took the lead that you thought they couldn't? Could they?
Not really. A little too early on in all honesty. And then let's be honest, Spurs have not been a very good team this season. That's there for everybody to see. I think they, similarly, as we were discussing earlier today with Manchester United, have both eyes firmly fixed on what's to come in the Europa League. It take the lead. I didn't have me at all worried for Liverpool.
No. 5 goals without reply, Oggy, to wrap up. What is key for them? They've equalled now Manchester United on 20 league titles. And that's been a big thing that United have had over Liverpool, but no more. Let's later on get into how they've won the title. Them, their performance and everyone else. But just now, let's talk about this game today. And it kind of epitomised what Liverpool are good at. Not panicking when things don't go their way and finding a way, but in some style today.
Yeah. I mean, like Shaka said, Tottenham scored early. I don't think anybody thought they were going to hold on for so long, but it did give Liverpool a bit of a jolt. And it not only that, they scored pretty much 3 or 4 minutes later through Luis Diaz, and that was it. they basically steamrolled Tottenham, didn't they? 5 goals. It could have been a lot more. I think Liverpool have just been that step above everybody else this year for the consistency. I think, probably the top 4, 5, 6 can all beat each other, but they haven't had the consistency that Liverpool had. Certainly, at the opening, half of the season, Liverpool blew everybody away. Nobody else has done that, and I think that's why they're champions. I don't think there's a lot between the top 6, but I think Liverpool just had the edge because, of their consistency. And today, like you said, today was their season in kind of microcosm, really. Have a bit of a wobble and then come back pretty strong after it.
Shaka, what has Arne Slot done when he's taken over from Jurgen Klopp to win the title so comfortably? What's been the biggest differences? Or crucially, what's he kept that was working, just kept doing that worked in the first place?
But certainly what continues to work is Mo Salah, is Van Dijk at the back, the balance about Liverpool, and the threat that they have going forward. I think Arne Slot, and you saw that from very early on, was a little bit more pragmatic than Jurgen Klopp. It wasn't an all-out, high-press, high-energy game throughout. They were better organized defensively. They sat off a little at times when they had to. They continue to be as fierce some of the counter-attack as they'd ever been. And Arne Slot come in and kind of made this team his own. I think the easy, I say easy in inverted commas, thing to do was to keep this team playing in a Jurgen Klopp style, but Arne Slot, it wasn't exclusively Jurgen Klopp's. He interpreted things in his own manner, and I thought he did so wonderfully well. Now, keeping in mind that while we sit here and celebrate Arne Slot and the season that he's had. Was it 12 months ago when, or just about, that they announced that Arne Slot would be succeeding Jurgen Klopp? Nobody knew what to make of it. It just seemed like a really strange, it seemed like a very underwhelming appointment. And now 12 months on, I'll speak for myself here. That's how I kind of framed it at the time. I'm trying to figure out how I can rein those comments back in from 12 months ago.
Jose Mourinho, Carlo Ancelotti, Manuel Pellegrini, Claudio Ranieri, Antonio Conte. What do those all have in common, Mark Ogden?
Did they win the title in their first season at their clubs?
Arne Slot joins them. What have you been most impressed with about Arne Slot this season?
Well, what's impressed me most is it's kind of off the field, really, because Jurgen Klopp was such a massive personality that he commanded all the respect to everybody, every player in that dressing room. And to come in as a coach, like Shaka said, who not many people knew much about. He come from the Eredivisie. He hadn't even won the Dutch league last year, so he wasn't even the best coach in Holland, let's be honest, at the time. So he would have had a lot of players to convince. And I've seen it happen in the past. I saw it happen at Man United when David Moyes played Sir Alex Ferguson. A lot of the big players who'd won lots of trophies pretty quickly thought David Moyes isn't the guy. He didn't convince them. So Arne Slot's biggest challenge was to convince the likes of Van Dijk, Mo Salah, Alisson Becker that he is the guy. And there's not been a peep at Liverpool all season. It's been the most serene dressing room you can imagine. And he's convinced everybody. And that is the biggest thing for me, to get that credibility straight away. Because Shaka knows better than me that if a coach doesn't fit the club or the dressing room, the players will sniff it out in 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. And he overcame that. And that's why he was able to have such success.
For someone to do that, Shaq, I mean, you've, as Oggy said, you've played in many dressing rooms, and you can smell the BS pretty early on. If someone comes in and goes, oh, hey, and gives it the whole Yahoo I am. He never did that. Now, as a player, to keep everybody happy and to not add that many players to his squad as well, and to get the best out of Gravenberch and others as well, how, when you look back at this season, obviously not in the next week or so, but in years to come, Arne Slot's first season, is there one thing in particular that people will look back on and go, yeah, that's where he was so good? Or is it just, as Oggy said, maybe a multitude of things that he's been good at?
Yeah, no, I think it was a multitude of things. I'm not sure that there's one thing in particular. And yes, Augie's right. Players kind of know where managers stand or where they stand with them, and whether they're good enough, whether it's a right fit, and they know that quite early on. It also helps immeasurably when you get off to the start that Liverpool did, when the likely contenders, excuse me, are seemingly faltering. That being Manchester City. And you have this opportunity to really kind of establish your dominance at the top of the league, and that's what Liverpool did, and that adds to the confidence that the players have in the manager and in the direction that they're going. So it was not only exclusively how well things went for Liverpool, but others externally contributed to that. But history doesn't count that. History will only count the league title win, and rightly so.